1995, I was 20 years old, and I finally realized I'd been chasing the wrong dream all along. Up to that point, I'd assumed, like my mother before me, that love and marriage were the answer, that this is what would bring you a life of joy and fulfillment. I had the goal wrong, though, the target of my desired relationship in error. There are several reasons why I was wrong, but I'll mention just this one. What happens when the one you love leaves you? My grandmother Imogene married Frank McCormick. While I don't know the inevitable ups and downs of their relationship, I know she loved him and gave him 3 children. But Frank died, first in his mind when the Alzheimer's stole the husband she knew and erased his memories. And then after a short time, his suffering ended and his body died too. Granny then lived another 34 years. She would marry again, and again outlive her husband. If all of her joy and happiness were tied up in her relationship to her spouse, what is left for her when that person leaves? Love, real love, is permanent, but the earthly objects of our affection are not. Summer of '95, I was working at Frontier Camp as the head wrangler. That summer, I laid aside my quest to find true love and in it an enduring joy, and instead focused on the one and only thing that is permanent. God convicted me deep in my heart to stop chasing the temporary, looking for satisfaction in it, and instead focus on what is real and true and permanent. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you, he says in Matthew 6:33. That summer, for the first time since puberty, I had zero interest in any romance. My focus was on my father, and freed from the burden of what I didn't have, and trusting God to provide what I needed when I needed it. I found real joy for the first time in my life, real freedom. That's when I met Chelsea Joy. Because she was the newest person on staff that summer, I wanted to help her meet and befriend the 50 or so other employees. Quickly found there was no need. Chelsea is to date the most outgoing person I've ever met, even trumping Carla, which is astonishing. Within a day, she had 50 new best friends, and for an introvert like me, it boggles my mind still today how she did it. We worked together every day from sunrise to long after sunset. Most relationships don't move as fast as ours because with most relationships, you see each other a few handful of hours a week. Chelsea and I saw each other and worked side by side for about 15 hours a day, every day. She was a hard worker, great with kids attending camp, and generally everybody's favorite person to be around. After a few weeks, she began to flirt with me. At first I ignored it. It was flattering for a beautiful young woman to express any interest in me, but it wasn't what I wanted that summer. I thought dating anyone would be a distraction from the devotion that I had towards my God, and I wasn't wrong. But she kept at it, and one evening after dinner, I took a walk in the woods. I got down on my knees and I prayed earnestly about it. I told God I didn't know what to do. Should I accept her affection? Should I keep ignoring it? I told God if I had my preference, I would actually rather just keep ignoring her. But if I was wrong, God, please show me what you want from me in a manner that I can understand. When I emerged from the woods that night, Chelsea was there. She asked me to walk with her down to the lake, and I did. And we talked for nearly 2 hours, and we had a marvelous time. Then we headed back to our respective cabins. After I'd showered and cleaned up, I decided I wasn't quite ready for sleep yet, so I went for another walk, and again I quickly ran into Chelsea. We ended up staying up way too late, talking to each other and just enjoying each other's company before finally partying. The next morning I woke up and it was as if God was tapping on my brain saying, "Here is your answer. I have put her here in your life for a reason." Her first date was on her birthday. I took her to the movie First Night at the Cinemark Theater in College Station. It's a horrible movie, but I loved it because I was with her. I kept the ticket stubs in my wallet until I met your mother 7 years later. My truck ran out of gas on Highway 6 because I was so wrapped up in her I'd failed to notice the gas gauge. Sitting on the side of the road, waiting for help to arrive, I kissed her. The most beautiful girl inside and out I'd ever known kissed me back. We dated that summer and I fell deeply in love. Love, mind you. Love for the first time and not some crush. When Frontier Camp ended, I drove her home and met her family. I helped find her brother's escaped lizard in the house. When it was time for me to go, she walked me to my truck and kissed me, and from the look in her eyes, I knew she loved me. And everything was going to be alright. I could see my whole bright future ahead of me, and she was at the center of it. When college started, I helped move her into her dorm room, And that night I took her out to dinner, where she dumped me. She said she still wanted to be friends, but it was immediately obvious she didn't mean it. And I would see her many times that semester with our mutual friends, and she always ignored my existence. When the semester ended, I called her at home to make one last desperate plea. It was Christmas. She told me the last words I ever heard from her. I don't want to be friends. I don't want to be much of anything. I have to go. I thought about her, missing her every single day for the next 7 years. For that last horrible few months, I'd been obsessed with the question, what does Chelsea think of me? And that phone call gave me the answer. She didn't think of me at all. So how do you love someone who wants to forget they ever knew you? I went into a black depression. I found so much joy and happiness with Chelsea and so much heartache afterwards. To this day, there's some things that I avoid because they remind me of her so much, like Willie Nelson's version of Georgia on My Mind. For years, I got extremely anxious if I ever went even near a Jason's Deli, because that's the restaurant where she dumped me. Anytime there's a tragedy in your life, you'll look for answers. You'll look for lessons that can justify or explain the heartache. Here's what I learned from loving and losing Chelsea. May you never have an unrequited love, and may you not know so harsh a teacher. So was God wrong? Did I misinterpret what he said? This is a bone I have with the Almighty to this day. God always means what he says and does not lie, but sometimes we don't interpret it correctly. When my grandfather Frank had Alzheimer's disease, my mother prayed hard and earnest for him to be cured, and God answered. God told my mom his suffering wouldn't last long, and my mother took this to mean her father would be cured. But he wasn't. He died after a short battle with a truly awful disease. God didn't lie. Frank's suffering did not last long, and today he is with the Father in paradise, free from any affliction. But that isn't how my mom heard it, and I can't say that I blame her. It's the same story with me. God told me he'd chosen Chelsea for me, but I took that to mean I'd met the woman I'd marry, and because of that I fell hard and fast for her. But that wasn't what God said. God merely said he'd chosen her for me for some reason. It said nothing about her being my eventual wife. That was my own assumption. Still, given who I was then, I'm not sure how God intended for me to understand it any other way. It was necessary, though, necessary that I love that girl in order to learn from the pain.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
It's funny because I don't think of myself as a prideful person, but I had a lot of pride going into the summer of '95. My particular pride was that I didn't like males. As girls, you may never really get to see what guys are like around each other, but it's pretty revolting. Even pious guys that seem good because they put on their best face around women, when you get them around other guys, they'll tell raunchy, degrading jokes about women, and I have always hated it. They show who they really are inside, safe and secure in their knowledge their fellow males are equally horrible and won't expose them. Men cheat on their wives and girlfriends. I find it despicable. Men, mostly, and with really rare exception, only pretend to be chivalrous and honorable, and I despise them for it. I had a long list of things in my head leading into that summer of things I would never do. I would never kill, I would never cheat on my wife, I would never do this, that, and the other. And that was my pride, thinking that I was so superior to all those other guys. Through my relationship with Chelsea, I learned that it wasn't true. In fact, I'm no better than the men I disparaged for as long as I could remember. I loved her more every day, and every day I wanted to be closer. One way to be closer is through touch. Touch is an amazing thing when it's not rejected. Hugs and kisses and holding hands, whether it's with your date or your family members, it has a different meaning depending on the nature of your relationship, but in all cases, it brings you closer and reaffirms the exclusivity of your relationship. But there can come a point where the yearning to be closer can lead to inappropriate behavior. And by God's grace and her ability to say no, that didn't happen. But in my heart, I desired it. In my heart, I was no different or better than the men I despised because I was cheating on my wife, Deborah, or wanting to be with a girl that I loved but would not eventually marry. Boundaries are important, and I found that love or wanting to be loved can blur those lines and make it hard to tell right from wrong until it's too late. This was the start of the humbling of my prideful soul, a journey that led me to the firm conviction that I am no better than anyone else. When you don't believe yourself superior to others, you can love them and minister to them on their level and with the love of Christ. Remember when I said that on my list was I'd never kill anyone? That seems easy. Well, a dear friend of mine was raped. I was so enraged I wanted to kill the man that did it. I mean that literally. I wanted to murder that guy. In my wrath and my anger, I didn't. Because the guy was 9 hours away and I had no way to get to him. But I wanted to. Maybe would have if there'd been opportunity. There's no difference between killing someone wanting to but being unable. The heart is the same in both. The things I'd never do, I've done them all in here. The one isn't always. God brings the unthought to be, as here we see. Hopefully you are never in this situation, but when you love someone, you will let them go. You will walk the other way if necessary when all your hope and desire is to be near them. Because what you want even more is for them to be happy. Preferably, that's being happy with you in the picture. But if it's not, you still want them to be happy without you. So I did what I could to help her forget me, all the while hoping every day she wouldn't. You'd think on a campus of 40,000 undergrads that I'd never see her, but it seems no matter what I did, I'd see her nearly every day. And when I did, my heart would leap from my chest in just yearning to be near her. But I'd turn away so she didn't have to see me. If she wanted to forget, I'd help her do it. And I prayed for her all the time. I prayed she'd meet someone who was everything I thought I was when I met her. She got married in 2004. I have faith he's who I was praying for all those many years. I can say without a doubt that I still love Chelsea to this day. If I've loved her for over 22 years, I think it's reasonable to say that I always will. But it's been years since my love was romantic. These days, my love for her is much more akin to the love of one Christian for another. In Christ, she is my sister, and I love her as such. I'd walk through fire for her, even today. But that isn't what she needs or wants from me. Actually, it would probably freak her out, and her husband too. And that would be very selfish of me. So I do what I can, and I still pray for her even today. It's a strange and weird thing that I only dated Chelsea for a few months, but loved her so much. That's not normal. But there was the fact that instead of the few hours a week most people spend together when dating, I probably spent around 90 hours a week with her, so our getting to know you phase was greatly accelerated. But more importantly, I mistook what God was telling me, and it brought down all my walls and any defenses I may have otherwise had. Because I trusted God and her with my heart and held nothing back, I loved her truly and deeply. Love and trust are directly related. Wait until you know them, warts and all. People will present the best version of themselves in a dating relationship. What Chelsea and I both admired in ours was that we saw each other daily at our worst. Sweaty, dirty, exhausted, no makeup, and still found great admiration for the other. In your relationships, take the time to get to know each other so well that you both drop the act and stop wearing the happy mask around each other. Don't commit to anyone until you've seen them often at their very frumpy worst, and you still adore them. Love is selflessness, caring entirely about the other and nothing for the self. I knew I was in love when Chelsea broke her arm playing soccer. I remember taking her to her cabin where the nurse was going to look at her. I remember how I just wanted to take her place, have the break and the pain be mine instead of hers. I remember the intensity of the worry for her, and I remember how I realized that I loved her. Real love for the first time. If you ever need a litmus test to check yourself, use this. If their happiness meant that you had to let them go forever, would you do it? So what's the point of all this? Hopefully you can learn from my errors in judgment and some of my painful consequences what love is and is not. 1 Corinthians 4-8 says, "Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking, and it is not easily angered. It keeps no account of wrongs. Love takes no pleasure in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. And love never fails. Love and a lack thereof is a wonderful and terrible thing. It'll take you to the highest and lowest places you'll ever know. And despite millenniums of people getting it right and getting it wrong, every new soul has to start from scratch and find their own way. You can't change that or protect you from the inevitable heaven and heartaches you'll find, but I hope you can learn something from my misfortunes and avoid some of the pitfalls that can swallow you whole in your life's journey. Love is the answer, but it's a love for your eternal Father who will not and cannot fail you. Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. And these other things, they'll be provided you.
Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind.